tax money, and then there's a, they're requesting that one we.
Oh, down at the very bottom.
Yeah, the one we talked
Okay,
about.
we'll be doing that separately anyway, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just abstain.
So we've all got it. We're ready to go. I would like to call the continued board meeting to order and welcome everyone that's present and any that might be watching. First of all, we're going to have a moment of silence in honor of Charles Jack Woods, and Lori is going to have a few words to say about that.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. Just a moment. I'm going to take this off so you all can understand me. This may be a little tough to get through, so I apologize. Yesterday, in the early morning hours of September 23rd, shortly after 2 a.m., while most of you were still sleeping, a call came in to the Smyth County 911 Dispatch Center in regards to a structure fire at the 300 block of North Overlook Drive in Marion. When the tones went out for Adwolf Volunteer Fire Department, many brave firefighters left their families to answer the call as a public servant to help those in an emergency. After nearly 2 hours of battling the blaze, one of the brave members, who was a 36-year veteran of the Adwolf Fire Department, experienced a medical emergency while sitting in the seat of the very tanker truck he had driven time and time again. While rendering help to the scene of the structure fire, some of the other brave firefighters and EMTs on scene did all they could to help their fellow brother. Unfortunately, Mr. Charles "Dog" Woods succumbed to his medical emergency and did not go home to his family yesterday morning, marking the first line of duty death for a firefighter in Smyth County. His family, his fellow firefighters, and his community are heartbroken. Firefighter Woods dedicated his entire life to serving his community and dropping everything to run and help every time the tones went off. He never hesitated to help, no matter the situation, and his servant heart was so big that he would even follow up and check on the people that he had helped, even if it was days or weeks later. Firefighter Woods began serving with the Adwolf Volunteer Fire Department the very same year I was born. And growing up, I remember countless times seeing Firefighter Woods rushing to the station, and he was usually one of the first ones there. I'm certain I'm not the only one in our community who's heard the words, "There goes Dog, I bet there's a wreck or a fire somewhere." So today, as the Woods family, the Adwolf Fire Department, and the Adwolf and Thomas Bridge communities are mourning, I would like to ask that this board take a moment of silence to remember firefighter Charles "Dog" Woods and to honor his 36-year service to his community and extend our deepest condolences to those who are grieving during this tragic time. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Lori. On behalf of the Board of Supervisors and our community, we offer our deepest condolences to Mr. Wood's family. Next on our agenda is the public hearing for the FY 20-21 budget amendment. And Lisa, would you like to read that?
Certainly. Did you want to?
Or Sean? Whichever one.
Notice the public hearing, Smyth County Board of Supervisors, budget amendment for fiscal year 2020-2021. Pursuant to section 15.2-2507 of the Code of Virginia, Notice is hereby given that the Board of Supervisors of Smyth County, Virginia will hold a public hearing in the boardroom of the Smyth County Administration Building at 121 Bagley Circle, Marion, Virginia, on Thursday, September 24th, 2020 at 5 p.m. or soon thereafter to receive comments on the proposed amendment of the budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. This amendment will increase the fiscal year 2020-2021 adopted budget for additional federal CARES Act funding. The new total budget amount will be $97,135,790. All interested persons may express their views by emailing s@smithcounty.org prior to the meeting. Written comments may be mailed to County Administrator, 121 Bagley Circle, Suite 100, Marion, Virginia, 24354, or by fax to 276-783-9314. All emails, written comments, and faxes must be received by 2 p.m. Thursday, September 24, 2020. A copy of the proposed budget amendment is available for public review by contacting the County Administrator's Office. Anyone having questions regarding the above may contact the County Administrator's Office at 276-783-3298, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. In compliance with the provisions of the Americans with Disabilities Act, persons requiring special assistance to attend and participate in these hearings should contact Craig Williams, ADA Coordinator, at 276-706-8315 at least 24 hours prior to the hearing. By order of the Board of Supervisors, Smyth County, Virginia, Sean County Administrator.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Madam Chairman, I move we waive the rules for the citizens' input.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. And then, Sean, do you have the discussion of the proposed budget?
So further in your packet, you have a memo, I think it's 2 or 3 page memo that kind of summarizes several things that's on the agenda, and the first of which is the public hearing, if I can get mine open. So the majority of the public hearing is related to the CARES Act funding that we recently received, the second phase. There are 2 smaller items, but you have on your summary there the phase 2 of what we're proposing for the CARES Act funding. Total $2,626,458. The lion's or a fair amount is again going to be shared with the towns. You'll see the top 3 items for Marion, Chilhowie, and Saltville. We do have some funding set aside that we're trying to recapture costs of Smyth County that we've had since the pandemic began. And then the next item, the daycare support, that $14,379, I doubt we'll honestly need that, but the agreement that we had with Mount Rogers originally was up to $100,000. So this brings that to that $100,000. Like I said, I don't expect we'll need it, but we can move it around in future meetings. There is a portion that's dedicated to the schools to fund their virtual learning costs, $776,157. And then looking down, PPE and sanitation disinfection inventory up to $50,000. HVAC upgrades, we're looking to replace the health department HVAC and upgrade the sheriff's office HVAC systems to include, it's almost like a UV device that cleans the air before it comes out. It sanitizes the air and refreshes the air. The HVAC in the health department was so old, it needs to be completely replaced. So together, those 2 costs are going to be just over $300,000, $302,000, I think. But we can play around with that. Finished replacement of the radio read water meters, and then there's a dedicated fund set aside for the 4-H community programming to go toward to ensuring that they are able to continue their programs, because they've lost a lot of funding, a lot of support through this pandemic. And finally, we do have some funds set aside for a contingency, and I'll probably have a good summary for laying all that out at the October meeting. But in addition to this $2.6 million, we have already funded a $300,000 contribution to the Economic Development Authority for the Smith Strong Fund. So part of this, this budget amendment is to allocate that $300,000 in the EDA. It's already funded to them, so they need to, it needs to show up as a revenue and expenditure in the EDA fund. And before I go to the second part, is any questions on the CARES Act portions?
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I have one question.
Sure.
The HVAC upgrades, have those already been bidded out, or if that's allocated out there for a bidding process?
Now, we don't have the time to do a Smith County bidding, so what we were able to do was piggyback on the federal GSA contracts. Train, we have contracts with, or agreements with Train to do all the maintenance. So Train has a federal GSA contract, we were able to piggyback on that and met all the procurement.
So it'll be a contractor from outside the county coming in and doing the work?
No, it's Train
Train.
themselves.
Okay. Okay, thank you, that was my question.
The second part of the public hearing, we had some good news from the Appalachian Juvenile Commission after they revised their budget expectations. So their budget request has gone down from $207,000 down to $182,000, leaving $24,852 in surplus. So what we're proposing to do with that $24,852 is to move, well, just hold that, put that as a placeholder for now. The third item is upgrading internet. As we're working through the pandemic and doing everything's going on Zoom, we realize we need more bandwidth for this building and for the sheriff's office. So that cost, currently we have budgeted for the two buildings just shy of $20,000 a year. That provides 50 meg service, fiber service to the two buildings. If we increase that to 300 megs, it's an increase of just over $11,000. So to $30,300. So that would increase that budget. Those funds are proposed to come out of the savings we're getting from Appalachian Juvenile Commission. The remaining funds that we're saving, we want to put into the capital outlay budget of the Board of Supervisors. Recently, we pulled about $14,000 out to paint a water tank. So we're putting money back so we can keep working on figuring out what projects we can do with the total capital outlay. So I have a summary there for you of the ins and outs and totals for the $2,926,458 budget amendment. After the public hearing, I recommend that there's resolution and attachment that summarizes everything in your packet for your consideration.
Okay. Did anybody sign up for public comment? No. Since no one signed up, we will close the public comment time and adjourn the public hearing. And we would like a consideration of waiving the rules of the public hearing to vote on the public hearing matters. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? The motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is a Budget Committee recommendation from Mr. Charles Atkins.
Madam Chairman, do we need to vote on the budget resolution we have in the packet?
That was actually going to be the first thing
That is-
to report from the Budget Committee, so
Yeah.
a recommendation to approve the resolution and attachment as provided.
Okay. I didn't realize it was part of the committee. I apologize.
Thank you.
You want to handle that too?
Yeah. So if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them, but there were 3 items on the Budget Committee recommendations, and like I said, the first one was the resolution for the budget amendment. And what we request is action on each individual item from the Budget Committee, since there's some abstention that needs to happen related to the schools.
Okay, we will take those individually then. Do we need to do it like for the towns, each one?
No, I would just say a motion to approve the budget amendment as requested.
Okay. So do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? The motion passes unanimously.
Second item from the Budget Committee was appropriations related to the CARES Act funding. The board at the September 8th meeting appropriated $966,184 out of the original $2.6 million fund. And there's a summary of what that $966,000 accomplished. What we're asking is to appropriate the remainder of the Phase 1 CARES Act funds along with the Phase 2 funding. And there on page 5, you have a summary of what so that appropriation from CARES Act would be $4,286,732. One item to note, when we bought the truck, the refuse truck from Phase 1, we had a balance of $956 that I added to the contingency in the Phase 2. So the Phase 2 funding is $956,000 more than what you just amended on your budget. But that's how it accounts for. So the recommendation is to appropriate the $4,286,732 in CARES Act funding.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor? The motion passes unanimously.
The second item from the Budget Committee was a cooperative purchasing agreement. One thing kind of related to Mr. Radcliffe's question about procurement, we realized that there were a lot of holes, especially with the CARES Act funding, and it's some things that could help us out. So there's a group called the HGAC BUY, and in your packet later on, further in, there's an agreement, interlocal contract for cooperative purchasing, which is basically, it's just a boilerplate special boilerplate agreement that if the board approves, would authorize us to be able to be a part of this purchasing cooperative. That being said, the purchasing cooperative is required to meet the procurement standards that we're held to as well. So, probably 15, 20 different localities in Virginia, several in the Mount Rogers region are members. We actually found out about them when we were looking at the purchasing the fire equipment. I just request.
Sean, you might mention that the savings just in that one item. That was very impressive.
It was, just by being part of, you could buy a backhoe from this group for about a little over $10,000 less than what we could get on state contract.
Yeah.
So it does, there are benefits now. There's some things that are higher on this than state contract, but we would shop between the two to get the
There's
best
significant
deal.
savings opportunity, isn't
Yes,
it?
ma'am. Yep. So we would request, the Budget Committee is recommending authorization or approval of the agreement. Authorization for me to sign the agreement.
Motion to approve?
Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor? The motion passes unanimously.
And the final item is the school board rollover funding request. As has been the case in years past, the school board finished their fiscal year $83,568 to the good. So they're asking that those funds be rolled over into the current fiscal year to be used for capital, specifically for replacing windows continue to place windows at the Marion Senior High.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Abstained.
Please note that Mr. Sturgill abstained. The motion passes.
Do we need to do a budget amendment for that, to get that in the budget for the school board?
Yeah, I think a budget rollover, since it's under the 1%,
Yeah.
we can actually,
We can amend the budget without public hearing, but we still got to amend the budget.
we'll have that set up for the October.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that complete what you need, Sean?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so next, we have the appropriations and amendments to the budget. First,
You've already taken care of the CARES Act for
yes.
portion.
So next, we will look at the general county accounts payable listing in the amount of $58,685.51.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Passes unanimously. Next is the EDA fund, Smyth County Strong, CARES Act funds,
So moved.
$300,000.
Second.
All in favor? Next is the Recovery Court Fund for $331.70.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Next is the Schools Operating Fund Amendment, $21,100.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? One abstention. An abstention by Mr. Sturgill. The motion passes. Any other business for us to consider, Ms. Stratton? With no further business to be considered, we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, those are quick. A motion and a second, all in favor?
Highest one I've ever had.
I know. So it passes. We'll move to supervisor comment time.
Oh, we already adjourned.
Oh,
Adjourn.
okay. Well, I don't think we need